In theory today, we're going to have a look at modes. So modes are really just starting a scale from a different point. So instead of starting it from the root note, which is the first note, you might start it from the second note or the third note. Now, when that happens, there is a chord that matches with it. And also when you get into your more complex chords, like your sevenths, your fourths, your ninths, it impacts that as well. So we'll start off just with the basics on it. So if you take a C major scale, and we know that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? Each one of those has a pattern to it. And it's the same pattern as the C major, but started differently. So if I go to, let's go with my C major up on the 8th fret. Right, if I actually start that from the second note, I start it from the D. I'm playing the Dorian mode. Okay, the first mode there, the standard major scale we've been playing is called the Ionian. Then the next one is the Dorian, and you can actually play that in different spots. So that's the D Dorian, and I can play it elsewhere. So if I move to another D, I can be. All right, and when we do that, you can actually look at different chords. Now, the first, third, and fifth in the Dorian, it makes up a minor chord. So you'll see there is some Roman numerals, and if the Roman numerals are lowercase, that means it's a minor chord. Okay? Now, I can play that D minor as a... All right, and we know that the D minor will go really nice with a C major. So that's where your chord pairings actually come from. You're making the chords out of the major scale itself. All right, so you can move through and go through. You've got your Dorian, then we've got the Phrygian. And the E Phrygian, when you take it on its own, it's got its own tone sounds to it. So if you're actually playing in E, and you use the Phrygian scale to do a riff, it's going to sound quite different to using a minor, so normal, like Aeolian style. So the Phrygian has a flat second in it, which makes it really stand out as quite a darker scale. So each one of these modes has their own sort of flavour to them, and they're really fun to play around with. We'll do a lot of work going through the scales for each mode. So really here, you're just going to wrap your head around the different names. So after we've done our Phrygian, you've got the Lydian, and the Lydian's quite a fun little one. All right, so it's a very major one, but it's got a sharp 4 in it, which is just a little bit different. So look, when you're actually doing an arpeggio for a Lydian scale, you put in that 4th note as well. All right, moving on. So we've got the Mixolydian, and the Mixolydian is where you get that dominant 7th chord from. So if we're doing a G Mixolydian, so I could play it from here, but look, if we go down to our G here, your normal major scale would be. The Mixolydian has a flat 7th note, so it's, and it just chills that major scale out a bit. So that's a great one, a different tone, and that's where you get those dominant chords coming out. Okay. Right, from there we have the Aeolian, and look, I said Aeolian before. What that is, that's the minor scale that you've been learning. Okay, so the Aeolian is the minor. That's why whenever we're saying C major, A minor as relatives, they are actually the same scale. Now, in classical music, a minor scale is the harmonic minor. Okay, not to be confused. So quite often we're referring to minor here, and we're referring to the Aeolian. All right, it is just a mode, all right, of the major scale. It is the same pattern, but it's starting on the 6th note. So with your C major, your A minor is quite simply starting C major from its 6th note. So, all right, and if you look at it, they are the same notes. It is just moving along in this pattern. Now, from there, we get up to our 7th, and the 7th is the Locrian. And the Locrian is like probably the least used, but it's super dark, and it's got its own unique chord to it as well, which is quite cool. So when we go to a B Locrian, we're actually hitting, there's flats all over the place. And it can be quite dark. Its chord has a flat 5th in it. And the flat 5th is definitely the most discordant note you can get, and you'll hear it. All right, so that's just using that flat 5th in a 1 flat 5 1, very dark. Okay, so look, there's some information on the modes, and you can go through the different scales, and they'll have modes in different keys for each one. So have a look there, but we'll get more into the modes a little bit down the track. And I think once you start learning all the scales, you'll see how they work together. We'll leave it there and see you next time.